Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Forman, and we have Jake Sachs with us again today. And today we're going to be talking about the Thunderbolt construction. We've got 5 boards here. We got a few CJ Nelson designs and also some of the Harley Ingleby's. And we're going to be talking about Thunderbolt Black, Thunderbolt Red, and Thunderbolt Silver construction. So to give you an overview on Thunderbolt construction, this is a high-end tech EPS epoxy performance construction that adds durability not only in impact but also durability against the breakage of the board. Keeps the board light, and they're also doing a lot of work tuning the flex and the response of the board as well. So if you think about EPS epoxy, whenever you say the word epoxy,
right,
there's this giant cloud of confusion.
And then you add longboard to it.
And longboard, yeah. Then you're basically thinking about anything from a BIC to a Surf Tech to a Boardworks, you know?
Yeah.
But you're not thinking about performance, right? Because those are all like 10-year-old technologies.
Right.
But if you think about what's happened in shortboarding in the last few years, like with, performance shortboards, during that time you had like the Hydroflex boards come out, you had the carbon wrap boards come out, you had the C4 boards come out, a lot of different electrolyte from Pizel came out, and you had a lot of performance epoxy constructions. So, but the longboard was kind of lagging behind. It kind of, like the Surf Tech stuff went away, and then it went all poly again, and now the Thunderbolts are coming out, and they're, I think, filling a niche in the construction that people have been looking for. The true diehard poly guys are still going to be on the poly, but these boards have been a blast to ride, and also the performance benefits have been really noticeable.
Yeah, and they can really engineer the flex to make them the most performance possible. So it really feels good. Glides, feels like good weight to them. The different constructions have weight that are specific to the board's performance. And so, yeah, I think they nailed it.
So talking about the construction, the board that I have here in my hand, this is a CJ Nelson Parallax. It's a 9.6, and it's shaped by Ryan Engel. And talking about Thunderbolt, all of the boards have an EPS blank, and then they have a carbon T-stringer put into the board, which is basically routing a groove the entire length of the board and dropping carbon into that groove. All of the boards are laminated with fiberglass top and bottom to encapsulate that carbon strip. And then also inside that lamination, you have flex and response strips of carbon. You've got a carbon V on the deck, and you also have a carbon A on the bottom, and that's controlling the flex and the torsional stiffness and spring of the board out of the turns, and all of that is encapsulated in that layer. Every one of the boards here has that. The difference in the constructions when you go from black to red to silver is that the black boards, so if you look at like this Harley Ingleby HI4, this is one of the blacks. The black, the outer layer of laminate is carbon. So that deck is carbon, and then the bottom is carbon. That's going to give the board the most breakage strength, and it's also going to give it the most, the quickest response, and like where you can really load it up and get projected out of the turns. And it also makes the board the lightest out of the 3 constructions. When you go to the red construction, and you can tell what construction the board is just by looking at the Thunderbolt sticker and looking at the color of the lightning bolt. When you go to the red construction, you take that same, I guess you would call it an interior construction, and then you laminate that with more layers of fiberglass on the top and the bottom. So you have an all fiberglass layup on the red. And again, like all of these are EPS, so they're going to be using epoxy resin. What the red does is it gives you a little bit softer flex, so it's a little bit easier to load and unload the board in softer conditions, or for lighter weight surfers, or just less aggressive surfers, people that are just trimming and cruising and they just want to have something that's not as wound tight as the black. You can go with the red construction and get a little bit softer feel. And even surfers like Harley Ingleby will go for the red in really subpar conditions, just to have a board that loads and unloads more easily, where you don't have the power of the wave to help you with that. Switching to the board that Jake has, that is the CJ Nelson Neo Classic, and that's a 9.5, and that board is in silver construction, Thunderbolt Silver. And so when you're going to more of the logs or the nose riders, specifically like more time on the nose and like less like hard turns.
Yeah.
In those type of boards, like weight is a big part of the performance, like for the performance target of the board. And so these boards in the silver, everything on the interior of the board is exactly the same as the black and the red. It's just that in the silver, they use all fiberglass layup, but a heavier cloth schedule than the reds. And so that adds weight to the board, which in that type of board is a good thing.
Yeah.
And how did you feel like when you picked up that board versus like the red or the black? I mean, do you notice it right away?
Yeah, right away. And they've matched the weight and the construction to the style of board too. So with the blacks, they're a lot more responsive and usually in more high performance boards that they're shaping. The red had a little more even feel to it, and it matched that board, the parallax, really well because it was kind of a more all-around glidey longboard that was really good. This one and the Sprout, they're kind of more on the log side of things, and so the weight just felt really good. It didn't feel like one of the EPS epoxy longboards that we would have been used to even 5 years ago, that was like real chattery and weird feeling. It had the glide to it, it had the weight, and you could really rely on the swing weight to feel good.
Right. People talk a lot about, like, whenever you say epoxy, people automatically associate it with like more durability, increased durability. But when you're looking at these boards, or really any surfboards, there's different types of durability, right? So you've got your deck durability, which is one type of durability, just like all the heel impressions on the deck. You have your ding durability, which is like, oh, I dropped it in the parking lot. And then you have your breaking in half durability. So 3 different types of durability. And the Thunderbolt construction, actually all of them have a thin PVC layer on the deck, on the bottom, to absorb a lot of that impact in the board. Like talking about the different glass schedules, like you're able to put more, because it's an EPS core, it starts out with a lighter blank, so you're able to put more of that weight into actual structural glass and resin and stringers and strips and all that. So to keep the board more durable as far as the like breaking in half or buckling kind of phase. It was really interesting to see like Harley Engleby's take on going from PU in his performance longboards to the Thunderbolt, and he said he would break upwards of 2 PUs per session, and now he breaks like around 2 boards a year.
Right.
So that's a big difference, And so again, you've got that deck durability, the ding resistance. The deck and the ding, both of those are going to be helped by the PVC layer, and then also all those added layers of the fiberglass or carbon, and then the breakage strength. And like one interesting thing to point out, I'll flip sides with you here, Jake, is this board, Zach Johnson, our warehouse manager, had this board, the Sprout, for 6 months, and he's what, 225? 6 plus tall, and he surfs every day, sometimes twice a day. And like you look at the deck of the board, and it's still intact. What I mean? Like any normal poly board during that time period, like it would be fully golf balled out on the deck. So when he handed this over, like for the sessions that we took on these boards, and like we redid the wax job on it, like we took it down to just the normal deck, and it was like kind of astounding actually, like how little like the board was showing the use,
Totally. None of us are super light-footed, so it's pretty amazing to see the deck strength on these things.
And none of us are as good at longboarding as Zach.
Right, that's true.
Or Cody. But anyway, so I think that that kind of covers everything on the Thunderbolt. Really cool technology, and it fills a great gap in longboarding and mid-lengths that has been kind of unaddressed, like in the recent development of like all these different alternative like high-tech constructions, and it definitely works on the water. So if you have any questions about the Thunderbolt boards, or you'd like to place an order for any of the boards in this video or any of the boards that are made in Thunderbolt tech, you can always reach us at the shop, 252-987-6000, or look us up online, realwatersports.com/surfing. Thanks for tuning in.